All right. No intro necessary. You already know what it is, the Invent With Me podcast. And this is episode 49, the last episode of the season. Wow, what a wild ride it's been. And why would I take a break? Why would I stop at episode 49 and not 50? Well, one, I don't have OCD, so I don't give a shit what number I land on. And two, it's Black Friday. And we're rolling into Christmas. What better time than to take a break and focus on my business? Now, what I want to talk about today is what I have learned after a year plus of running an inventing podcast. Interviewed a couple dozen guests, a lot of inventors, a couple entrepreneurs, people to align to help inventors in the space of inventing. I've learned a lot. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about other people, and I've learned a lot about this industry. So I guess those are the three topics I'll talk about today. Myself, other people, and the industry. What do I learn about myself? Oh, I don't know. You know, when you run an inventing podcast and you've been running a business for 4 years, you learn pretty quickly this is not an inventing podcast. Not at all. This is just a business podcast. Because if you're an inventor and you're serious and you want to make money, the only advice you need is business advice. Inventing is such a tiny aspect of bringing a product to market and making money and making a future for yourself and your family. I've run into so many people along this journey that all they want to do is invent. And that's no surprise. We've all seen the forums. I have an idea. What about this? What about that? Yeah, I mean, what about the iPhone 31? Okay, great idea. What about Disneyland 2? I'm going to make a better... Yeah, great idea. Ooh, how are you going to execute it? That's the only thing that matters. I don't even care anymore if inventions are really, really good. Yeah, it's a little bit more stimulating. We have the Discord, which you guys can sign up to the Patreon. You can stay connected with me during the off season and beyond. But I've had people in there who've had good ideas, bad ideas, really good ideas. The really good ideas only get me like a few percentage points more inspired. But it always comes back to default. Are you willing to shoot videos? Are you willing to market? Are you willing to even open a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube account? You'd be surprised how often they just kind of ignore that advice. And I don't care. You know, everybody can do this differently. I've interviewed Craig McManus on episode 16. He has maybe one or two social medias. Maybe he's got all four of them at this point, but he's having someone else run them. Are you going to live the product? Are you going to push the product? Or are you just going to live as an inventor forever? Staying in the forums, talking about 3D printing, talking about molding, talking about sourcing bearings, talking about CNC machining, talking about the new toy you want to get you a little bit closer to inventing your invention. Your invention's already invented. You thought of it. Now make it real and sell it. So I think the subject was, what have I learned about myself? So I think it's fair to say that I've learned that to run an inventing podcast and to gain fulfillment from it, I have to convince a lot of people to stop inventing and start running a business. So I guess what I've learned about myself is I have a lot of patience and I have a lot of guidance and I have a lot of good advice to give people. I think I've got a fair amount of patience, but you guys can probably tell anybody who's running something like this, who's interviewed enough guests, you don't get tired of repeating yourself, but you do wonder, how can we connect with people at the entry and let them know, pump the brakes. You're probably not going to license this. If you do, you're probably not going to make a few $100 a year. How do we inform them from the get-go that inventing is not inventing? Inventing is nothing. Inventing is a fanciful, made-up word. When we think of inventors, we think of the great ones. It's ones who ran businesses. I've never seen a TED Talks. I've never seen a guest go on Oprah. I've never seen a panel interview of the great inventor of something who licensed that idea out. Jeff Bezos didn't license out his intellectual property as to how to control the market in e-commerce. He did it. He ran a business. Elon Musk would appear on 0 interviews as if all he did was patent his new formula for bringing electric cars to market. He would just be another asshole with an idea. He never would have licensed that. Someone would have worked around it and found a better way to do it. He ran a business. So that's what I've learned about me is I have to gear the podcast to make sure we're talking about the right things. I love talking about inventing. I love talking about engineering. It is so important in the first 6 months. So important. But if it goes past a year, you don't have business acumen. You don't have your head on straight. Stop inventing, stop engineering, stop developing, stop what-ifing with your friends in the forums, and start doing. I've learned that I have a lot of marketing acumen. I didn't have that in the beginning, but I've learned at this point I do have a lot of marketing acumen. If you go in our Discord, the most popular channel by far is Rate My Video. Everyone is trying to market. So it only makes sense that I have a lot of marketing experience at this point because it is the most important thing in inventing, far and away. I don't care what your goal is with the invention. You're always selling it. You're always selling yourself. I know that's a famous quote. Well, you're always selling your invention. And selling, the most efficient way to do that is to market. Going door to door and telling people about your great idea is a horrible way to spend your time. That's what you pay salesmen to do. That's why they sell vacuum cleaners door to door, because no owner wants to do that. But marketing, that's passive sales. That's passive traffic. Marketing is creating a great video that does really well for months and months being run as a meta ad. So I learned that I do have a lot of experience in that, and I think that's one of the most valuable assets I can give people. What's frustrating is running an inventing podcast and realizing that the title of the podcast shouldn't be Invent With Me. It should be Market With Me. And then the next episode, it shouldn't be Market With Me. It should be Build a $2 million business with me. This is such a multifaceted, and I think that's why inventing is such a small audience. You guys see the numbers here in year one. I mean, we're lucky to break 100 views on a podcast on YouTube and then maybe 100 downloads, after it's been public for a month. It is so niche, yet it is so broad. Inventing. You say the word enough, it starts to not even make sense. I kid around. Look, guys, I love this stuff. Inventing brought me out of a dark place. Inventing brought me out of working for wages, stuck at 80 grand a year, working under the hot, sticky Los Angeles sun. I don't mean like Malibu. I mean like Van Nuys, Los Angeles. Inventing is amazing, but inventing is not inventing. Inventing is running a business. What else have I learned about me? I've learned not to say or so. I'm not perfect at it, but that's a big part of being on camera, right? Just not saying or so. That's a big part of life. You're working with a guy, and you guys are about to present to the boss, and he's one of these guys who says and he ends on a high note every time, and he almost ends every statement as if it's a question, like he's trying to get permission from the boss to propose this new idea. So right, cut that stuff out. Speak with confidence. Stay firm. If you can't think of anything to say, silence is much more effective than So I learned that just by being prepared to be comfortable with silence, I can stop saying those words, and that will give me a little bit more prowess when I'm having large-scale meetings. When you get on a meeting with the buyer at Home Depot and every third word out of your mouth is they start to look at their watch. They start to wonder when this torture is going to be over. They start to wonder who they're really talking to. And you could have a ton of experience. You could have exactly what they want. But someone with a ton of experience, maybe you're 60 years old, you've been selling into retail for generations. You're gonna make the deal no matter what. Someone like us, where every little bit counts. I may not have experience, but what we have is a product that sells every day. What we have is a product with a high return on ad spend. What we have is a solution to a problem people don't know we have, and we know how to educate them on the problem that they have. And it looks really good in the package. So, yeah. So I learned that about myself. It's not hard to learn how to speak well. It just takes getting used to, getting comfortable with, hearing your own voice, seeing yourself with not a damn thing to say, and not filling the dead air with What I've learned about other people, we've touched on it a lot. I have run into some awesome inventors. What I've learned about other people, especially people who come on the show who sign up for consulting through the Patreon or who sign up for the Discord, people are really smart. Really, really smart. I'm telling you right now, half the people I consult and give advice to are way smarter than I am. Now, obviously, that's subjective. We all remember the kid in high school who was smart but didn't apply himself. Therefore, now he works security. Nothing wrong with being a security guard, but if you're acing the SATs and you're working a security guard, sorry, you're not smart at all, unless you just don't care about money, and that's your own prerogative. But I run into people who speak better than me, who have a better vocabulary than me, who are better at finding resources than I am, who learn Fusion 360 and SolidWorks in a matter of a couple months, something I tried and could not do. People who are extremely good at math, people who can put the pieces together where most, myself included, can't. I explain things really literal to you guys because I'm so dumb. I needed someone in the beginning to literally say, Google this. I needed someone in the beginning to literally tell me how much money you can make your first week when you start posting on Facebook, because I couldn't put the pieces together. If you could go through my Google search 4 years ago when I started this, trust me, I was much dumber than you guys are starting this. And I know this because I've interviewed you. I've talked to you in Discord. I've consulted with you one-on-one for hours and hours and hours. Eddie, for example, of the Wrap Rabbit. Let me show that off. Really proud of him. Wrap Rabbit. Awesome way to wrap your cables. You guys have probably run into him on Reddit or whatever. We're a small community, right? This thing is awesome, and I use it to wrap up all my XLR cables. Stick your finger in there, wrap it up. Eddie is extremely smart. He learned Fusion 360 on his own accord when he realized, hey, if I want a GSD, get shit done, I got to put up or shut up. I can't be relying on other people to do this stuff. I could never do that. I've learned that people are really, really smart. Very few people, though, and this is not Eddie anymore, this is in general, very few people are willing to take their smarts and do the right thing with it. I took a lack of formal education, a lack of kind of common sense, if you will, but still made something out of it just with balls, man. This is what I've learned about people. Most people don't have balls. And it's not that they're afraid of the work, it's that they're afraid of the failure. Most of the people I talk to are men and women in their 30s, maybe. Maybe they've been working a job for 6 years. Elena's different. She was at the beginning of her career, but she knows that she doesn't want to push pencils for another company. She wants to do her own thing. She's running her own marketing company right now. Elena has balls, not literally. Eddie has balls. Eddie's pushing his product. He's posting on social media every day. He's putting himself out there. He's writing copy. Everybody I run into has the mental capacity and the wherewithal and the smarts to do this. Very few have the balls. And balls doesn't mean you have the balls to go on Shark Tank and face that panel of 7 and go through makeup and try not to be shaky and go through production and go through... That's high-level balls. I love those balls. But those aren't the balls I'm talking about. The balls I'm talking about is putting yourself out there, making that first post, opening up a TikTok account, even though that sounds crazy to you. That sounds like something my 14-year-old niece would do. Well, guess what? Grow some balls. And you're afraid to do these things because you don't, going back to the fact that we're all maybe in our 30s, 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s, we don't want to be seen as trying to get something going. It's embarrassing because we've done this, we've been an apprentice. We've been the greenhorn. We've been the grunt. We've been the newbie. And we work through that. And we put a lot of years into our career to be respected and to think about, chicken and beans, to think about going back down to the bottom of the totem pole, it freaks us out. It makes our balls shrivel. So that's what I've learned about other people. They're incredibly smart. They just have to have the gumption to take those smarts and turn them into something good. Inventing is not complicated. It is not heavy in any one subject, unless you're inventing something, in the STEM area. You have to be a biology wizard. Even then, there's people to find to help you do that stuff. You have to have the balls to be resourceful. Henry Ford couldn't even read, I saw that in a documentary. It was a kind of an argument towards the end of it when he was facing a court case. The prosecution handed him a document and he said, I'm sorry, my eyes are just so watery from the pollen out this window. I can't even read this. I'm sorry. Can someone else, And so a lot of moments like that. And obviously we didn't have recordings or video back then, but that was the rumor, and rumors stem from some form of truth. You just have to be resourceful. You think Elon Musk can change a tire? Probably. But do you think he has the patience to wind 10,000 feet of copper around an electric motor and then run it through rigorous testing for weeks on end to see what the loss is of the motor versus last year's motor? No, he can't do that. He can find the right people to do it. Maybe you don't know anything about chemistry when you're making your new supplemental drink, your new magic beans, your new health potion. There's Plenty of people who did well in chemistry. I was failing out while I'm watching whiz kids next to me ace chemistry. Find one of those bozos. They don't cost much. People will work for pretty damn cheap. And you think, oh, they make $200,000 a year. Wow, whoop-de-doo. It's a couple grand a week. I can make that happen. You can make a couple grand a week happen, no problem. And if it doesn't work out, you fire them and you only lost $5 or $6,000. But hey, that's balls. So that's what I've learned about other people. I want them to focus on their balls. All right. So what have I learned about myself, other people? What have I learned about business in general? Well, hey, I think business in general can be summed up with one word: money. This is all about money. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, I invented something safer that saves injuries every day. That's awesome. But I picked that because that would result in money. So when we have invention ideas, we say to ourselves, this is a really good idea. This could be used anywhere. The market for this could be huge. We do a little Googling. Oh my God, this is a $4 billion a year market. If I could just harness 1% of this market, I would be... Don't ever say that. That's a quick way to sound really like a newbie because you miss the plot. Getting 1% of the market, that's like saying, oh, this market's so big, it's going to be so easy to succeed. Don't ever say that. Nothing is easy. I don't know of any entity giving away jobs that pay $100,000 for someone with no skills and no experience. Inventing is no different. Business acumen, running a business is no different. We're here to make money. Now, in the beginning, we thought this is a great idea, can be used anywhere. It's a $4 billion a year industry. So I would really love to make a couple $1 million off of this invention and then cash out. And that couple $1 million will allow me to buy the nice house by the lake, buy a boat, brand new truck, Mercedes for the wife, and we'll have nothing but the taxes to pay on our homes. And my wife will love me, my kids will love me, and everything will be hunky-dory and happily ever after. And that would be awesome. That would be really cool. But what it takes to get to that exit means sale. Again, I speak very literally because I had to Google this stuff at one point. Exit means sale. To get to the point where you're exiting your invention, your business, to get to the point where you're exiting your business for a couple $1 million, you need to be doing a couple $1 million in sales. If you have 0 sales, your business is worth $0. If you spend a year trying to license it with no sales, you can hope to make a couple $100 after they have sales. How are they going to get sales? They have to figure out how to market it. They have to push it. They have to live it. They have to love it. They have to obsess over it. And they are not going to do any of those things. They're going to make it for as cheap as possible. They're going to slap it on their website, and they're going to move a couple dozen units a week. And no, that is not enough to make you any amount of money. Famous licensing deals, crazy big licensing deals happen when Apple has used the living crap out of a patent that made their wireless network really intuitive, and they finally decide, we're going to move on to a new one. We'll license the old one to Samsung. Those are lucrative multi-million-dollar licensing deals. Something that's proven to make money immediately. Your better mousetrap, your better contraption, your tool to make someone more efficient at a sport, your medical device idea, that's all great. You got to sell so much of that to really make any money off of it, licensing or otherwise. Now, let's go back. You guys know I got a rant about licensing every episode. Why it led me down a huge waste of time in the beginning of my inventing career, because I thought that's what inventing was I have a good idea, I'm going to license it. I wasted months and money and time, lost income on this world of licensing. If you're just an idea guy, go ahead, try to license. Get used to clocking in. Get ready to clock in Monday morning, though. It's never going to be anything more than that. Where was I? So, exiting your company. I've never sold a company. I've talked to plenty of people who have. I've listened to plenty of podcasts of people who have. Basically, when it comes to the value of your company or your invention has to become a company. Torque straps are not worth anything on their own. My company, 17 Solutions LLC, who's a DBA of Torque Strap, that company is worth some money. That company we're in November of 24. We're at $1.3 million in sales. I hope to close out at about $1.5 million. That's gross sales, and from there you knock off shipping. That's a ton. That's like a fifth. So now we're down to like 1 million. You knock off employees, a couple 100,000, which includes the insurance and all that. So a couple 100,000. You knock off cost of goods sold, 200 more thousand. And then you knock off all your expenses. This camera, this desk, this microphone, gas, shipping. If you're writing off your vehicles, if you're writing off your cell phone, which is great to benefit of running a business, but at the end of the day, it's a loss of money. So after all this, we went from 1.3 million down to about maybe $250,000 in profit. You can pretty much expect, if you have maybe one or two patents, you can expect maybe a 5x multiple on your profit, possibly 10x multiple if you have a really solid patent or maybe 3 patents. I have 1 patent issued and 1 pending, and let's say I have $250,000 in profit at the end of this year. I can get on one of the 2 or 3 websites where you sell your business. I can list these statistics. I can be prepared to, I can give my elevator pitch, reference the website, reference the data of the sales, the split between Shopify and Amazon. I can reference all that. And a company might offer me a 5x multiple on my profit. What's 250 times 5? Well, 1.25 million. And maybe they would cash me out and give me 1.25 million, and I could be done. And there's my payday. And then you pay taxes on that. I don't know if it's capital gains. I don't know, but you're going to pay taxes on it. So, maybe you're left with 900,000, and that's it. And they're going to go turn it into $30 million in a pretty short amount of time because you did all the hard work. You proved the product. You took away all the guesswork. You did it. It's like running a marathon, but stopping at 26 miles and not doing the last 0.2 or 3 or whatever the hell it is. So how do you exit? How do you make millions off of an invention? You just sell a lot of it. You learn how to run a business. No one wants to buy a business that doesn't run. My business is attractive right now to me because look at what I'm doing right now. It's 1:30 on a Monday afternoon. Black Friday is in 4 days. And I can spend the afternoon talking into a microphone like a jackass because I've designed my business to run without me. We're handling $1.5 million in sales. And what do I have to do today? There's plenty I can do. This is part of it. And I'll shoot some viral videos after this. I'll go out in the driveway, stuff like that. But if one thing was on my plate today, if one thing went wrong, if just I had to handle returns today, we're right now we're getting 100 orders a day. That's 2 returns a day. And say they had piled up on Steven and he couldn't take care of the returns. If I just had to take care of apologizing to customers, sending them back their money and sending them shipping labels to ship the product back to me, and then going to the warehouse and inspecting them and seeing, should we resell these or throw them in the trash? Imagine trying to sell that business to an aggregator. or a large company. Yeah, it's a great company. We do 1.5 million in sales. Yeah, I make a ton of money as the owner. Oh, great. Okay. So when we buy it and you go home and it's left with us, what do we have to do? Well, you just got to, return 13 items a day, pack out 81 orders, go through all your bookkeeping, make sure your books are up to date, go through your financing, engineer products, work on engineering for about an hour a day. You need to, I could go on and on. You can't sell a business that doesn't run without you. That's not an investment. That's a job. If they want a job, they'll just go get a job at the gas station, right? They want somewhere to park their money and watch it grow. So that's what I've learned about money. It's not about buying this for $10 and selling it for $30 and Grant keeps the $20. It's buy this for $10, sell it for $30, and make sure the whole $20 goes back to work for you. One new employee, one new piece of business software, one new AI tool for customer service, whatever. And plan on making money later. Now, I took that probably too far, as I've said candidly in many podcasts. But now I'm in a position where it's Black Friday, 2024, my 4th year in business. We're selling $7,000 to $8,000 a day already. It's November 25th. Black Friday isn't for 4 days. We're already selling $7,000 to $8,000 a day. That's 105 orders a day. As I said, probably an average of 2.5 returns per day. 100 torque straps getting put into boxes, different variations, SKUs. Some people add on E-Track adapters. Some people add on 20-foot extensions. Some people want a mix of HDs, M500s. Some people are pre-ordering the Pros and have lots and lots of questions about when they're going to get their Pros. All this happening systematically without me. My guys know, don't tell me about anything. I don't want to hear it. The less I hear throughout the week or the year, the more I know you're doing your job and you're solving problems without involving me. That is priceless. And at the end of the year, when that $250,000 in profit is sitting there, I'm going to divvy it up. I'm going to give the guys what they deserve because they killed it. They gave me, this morning I worked out for an hour and a half. I ate a bowl of chicken at noon, and we're doing a podcast now. I owe my employees so much for that. They're, bonuses, whatever I can do. I don't know my numbers yet. I haven't looked. I got to call my accountant and say, how do we do? But reinvest and pay the people you want. But anyway, that $250, you give your guys some, you give you the rest. So half this year, I didn't take a paycheck. I've told you guys that many and many a times. But why do you think I did that? So I could ensure that at the end of the year, Daddy comes home for Christmas with a big chunk of change. Mama's real happy. Kids are feeling good. No, money's not everything. It's arguably nothing in the scheme of things, but it is life lubrication. Use it. Use it, abuse it. Money maketh the world go round. So these are the things I've learned about myself, about people, about running a business. Look, inventing is going to change your life. Go back and listen to the episodes during this break. The truth is all there. A lot of people ask me very specific questions that we've addressed, and I get it. Look, there's a handful of podcasts that I listen to, and I cherry pick episodes. And then I go in the comments and ask the stupid questions. I get it, guys. This isn't your life. This is my life. I'm just here to remind you that all the answers are there. I and Marcus started this podcast when we were very young, very vulnerable. We've gone through everything you're thinking about trying now, every bad video idea you're thinking about trying, every Kickstarter you're thinking about campaigning and running. We've gone through that and we've documented it very, very well on the podcast. So take the time, go back through it, get comfortable with it, let it soak, think about it, and come back next season ready to kick butt. Now, what I want you guys to do for all my final listeners listening to this sign off is leave comments about what you want to see on season 2. Send me an email, inventpodcast@gmail.com. Leave a YouTube comment, whatever it is. What do you want to see in season 2? Because there's podcasts out there. I think it's called Inventors Helping Inventors. And for years, guy sounds great. I don't know him, but he sounds great. But for years, he's been bringing on an inventor, asking them 2 or 3 questions, pretty much all based around patents. And then on to the next one. And he can do that forever. And he probably, from the sound of it, he will. I think he's also selling some licensing course. There's always an agenda. We sell nothing here. The Patreon, I make $212 a month off of Patreon, right? There's not a lot of money to be made here. This is not why we do this. Could I make more? Yeah, if I made it my life and if I lied to you guys, if I lied to you about how fun licensing is and how it's going to change your life, and one simple idea can turn you into an inventor. But no, your one simple idea must turn you into a business owner. You must learn the ins and outs of it. If you don't know how, find the people who do. Be resourceful. Remember the balls, motivational speech. And yeah, get after it. I mean, I don't know. Episode 49. This is it. I mean, it's a bummer. I'm at 37 minutes. I got nothing left to say, but that's the reality of this subject. We've divulged as much as I know to without really creative redirection of the show, which I'm counting on you guys for. There's not much left to say. We can be redundant. We can keep on interviewing inventors and going through the process. It's pretty simple. I had an idea. I prototyped it in my garage. I found somebody who knew how to 3D print. I got on Alibaba, had it manufactured. I had one bad, a bad shipment come, and I remedied it and I ate it. And then I learned how to shoot social media videos. I went viral on social media. I started running that as an ad, and now I make $4,000 a day. That's the formula. Some of the inventors that come on, they do it wrong. Some do it right. That's the formula. That's it. No, this is not about Home Depot. No, this is not about Lowe's. No, this is not about Best Buy. No, this is not about someone bigger than you, smarter than you, better than you, coming and sweeping you off your feet like Richard Gere. You ain't Pretty Woman. You're just another inventor until you sell. It's just an idea. All right, guys. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. You guys know who you are, my diehards. You've given me such an outlet and a place to document this stuff. I listen back to old episodes and I can't believe the stuff that was coming out of my mouth, not because it was wrong, but because it was so virgin. It was so young. It was so timid. It was so scared. I could hear it all in my voice, and you give me a place to be vulnerable about that and give it to you. And look, you've filled my heart with warmth. You've shown me that you're listening. You've shown me that you care. A lot of you have signed up for the Discord, which is just amazing to me. That $200 a month means more than $8,000 a day in sales. I can tell you that as a fact. I'll brag to my wife. I got another patron, $6 a month. Cool. You said $6.0 per month. Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. Don't you run Torque Strap? Well, yeah, I do that too. Anyway, thanks, guys. Listen, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or other, follow the show. Give it a rating. Remember, Marcus, myself, all the great inventors who have come on the show, we took the punches so you don't have to. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next year.